Hello, and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. Today we're going to talk about Ethereum and can it reach $3,000 in the next bull run? I know in some of my streams I've been saying it could reach 4 or 5K in the next bull run and the next large bull run, and I stick by that. And obviously my answer to can it reach 3K in the next bull run, I think it definitely can. And I just don't know which decentralized platform is actually going to really be able to compete with Ethereum. If you think about it, they have partners in Samsung, Amazon, now Bosch, which is one of the largest car suppliers in the world, and Microsoft. So we all talk about Ethereum's scaling problem, but those four giants don't seem to be too concerned with Ethereum's scaling problem. There are all these other platforms like EOS, Tron, Zilliqua, Tezos, all these other platforms available, but they decide to go with Ethereum instead. So that should tell you something. Yes, we make a big deal about Ethereum's, scaling solution, especially with that CryptoKitties fiasco last time. But these large companies choose Ethereum over all the other new solutions, and I'm guessing they've already checked out the other solutions too, and they've decided to go with Ethereum. Now, Samsung's integration with Ethereum is more on their wallet. The Samsung wallet only supports ERC20 tokens. Can you believe that? They don't even support Bitcoin, yet they support Ethereum and all ERC20. They must see something big in the ERC20 ecosystem, and they could have further integration with Ethereum in the future because it already supports all ERC20 coins. Amazon is deploying the Ethereum blockchain first in kind of solutions for Amazon Web Services. So they've made the Amazon managed blockchain available, and basically Ethereum is actually in the limelight. Now they do have other deployments as well, like VeChain and others for certain specific cases, but Ethereum is actually their main one. So they're really pushing Ethereum, which means they think Ethereum is good for many types of businesses. And if they think Ethereum is good, they must have already checked out the scaling. Bosch is the automotive giant, and it has also announced that it's running trials on Ethereum as well. It is also working with IOTA, by the ways. But Bosch hasn't really made it clear to the public how they intend to integrate Ethereum blockchain technology. But nevertheless, pundits who have been keeping a close eye on the multinational company predict that Bosch has a use case with its charging ports for electric cars. And Microsoft has teamed up with Ethereum and with their Azure server to actually produce some kind of supply chain thing that is managing Louis Vuitton's luxury fashion brand. It will manage other luxury fashion brands as well. So if you really look at Ethereum, it's got the big players in almost every field. It's got Amazon, it's got Microsoft, it's got Bosch, and it's got Samsung in its pocket. And there's probably many more players that use Ethereum. We know that JP Morgan is using Corium, which is an enterprise version of Ethereum, to manage its IIN, or its interbank network system, and also manage its own blockchain system. So it's got legs in the finance industry too. Plus, there are certain exchanges that have actually announced that they will use Ethereum to tokenize properties, or to tokenize just random things or assets. So it's in the tokenization game as well, and it's actually done more in the tokenization game with like precious metals, property, bonds, and stuff like that. It's done all that stuff already. So it's a step ahead in the tokenization game. So it's got its fingers in all these markets, and my guess is that some of the scaling solutions that Ethereum has within Corium are coming over to basic Ethereum. So the scaling issue is not going to be much of a problem for long. Otherwise, if that was a true bottleneck, I'm guessing Amazon, Microsoft, and all these big companies would actually choose EOS or something over Ethereum, but they really haven't. So this, just leads me to ask, which of these platforms is going to challenge Ethereum? You got like Cardano, which, you can't really say Cardano is going to challenge Ethereum because their settlement layer isn't actually there yet. So we have to hold that off to the side. EOS, Tron, Zilliqua, but these big companies are not choosing those other platforms. They're choosing Ethereum, which means I think Ethereum will definitely be the premier mainnet of the future. And that's why it is probably like number 2 or 3 it's my top three favorite coins list because I do think it can get to $3,000. In the next bull run, probably 4 or 5,000 with all these projects coming on. It has a lot of ICOs happening on its platform, and despite a couple of the smaller projects, despite some projects, let's just say on Deloitte moving to VeChain, or some of the small games moving to Tron, it continues to gain enterprise level projects and enterprise level clients. So despite like some of the stuff moving off, there's even more enterprise clients moving on, and its main competition like EOS, Tron, Cardano, they're not even close right now. So it's going to be the biggest mainnet for the next bull run. I don't really see anything challenging it, and I think it is possible in a good scenario that it could possibly flip Bitcoin, basically in the next bull run. And some people, I've heard people say Ethereum can go as high as, like a 10K or 20K. I don't think it's going to do that in the next bull run, but I think 3K is entirely doable. It hit 1.3 with not nearly as many projects in the last bull run. When we actually have this huge bull run after a certain point, I think the ICOs on Ethereum are going to start pumping as well, and that will doubly pump Ethereum. I mean, it is the clear leader in the field. And really, I don't see any competition that's really even close to it in terms of adoption. And it's scored all these big enterprise clients already. The Ethereum Alliance has like 75 enterprise grade clients on it, and partners on it. And that's why you should be, despite all the information on Tron, Cardano, EOS saying, oh, this is going to be the Ethereum killer. If you really look at reality, nothing's been an Ethereum killer. And I like Tron. I mean, I like Tron, I like EOS, I like Zilliqua, especially since their partnership with Pepsi, but none of them really come close to Ethereum. I've recently grown very bullish on Ethereum after looking like where all the enterprise clients are going. I think you should definitely have at least, maybe like if you have some Bitcoin, you should have at least the equal amount of Ethereum in your portfolio. And it could make up as much as 40% of your portfolio. I wouldn't go above 40% of your portfolio in any one coin. So I'm going to say like up to 40% of your portfolio. And I do think it's a good term investment at least for the next 2 to 4 years. And I think it'll probably be good even after that. I think it'll give you great returns. You have to be reasonable with your expectations. Don't expect it to go to $100,000, but 3, 4, 5,000 is respectable, and it gives you excellent returns considering where Ethereum is right now. So that's today's video. That's why I like Ethereum. And that's why I think it really doesn't have that many challengers in the mainnet field right now. So that's the video for today. Check out my Twitter. It's in the description. And like and subscribe and share my content on social media. Thank you and have a nice day.